Landlords are not the bad guys for asking for rent if their mortgages aren't frozen. I'm seeing a bunch of landlords get bashed on Twitter and all their public information being released, including telephone/fax number, Facebook profiles, etc. If a landlord's mortgage has not been frozen, then who is to say they are in any place to suspend rent and cover mortgage on houses/buildings/apartments? They have their bills to pay too, and they need to get their mortgage paid to avoid getting foreclosed on. Edit, I learned a new word, doxed. Landlords are being doxed. In addition to all this, renting is a very common form of retirement income for the middle/lower middle class in my part of the world. Owner lives on one floor and tenant lives on another. Don't know the reason for the hostility towards landlords in America. Over here the vast majority aren't oligarchs. You're never going to be the bad guy for asking to what you agreed to with someone else. Yes. They have bills to pay just like we do. All you have to do is watch. If you can't pay, we'll take it away on Netflix and you will see what landlords have to put up with all the time. There are scummy landlords, but there are some really scummy tenants too. Landlords are a large group. I'm sure there are some, maybe even most, who are struggling and are good landlords otherwise, and really do depend on rents as income. There are slumlords or people who aren't necessarily depending on the income from rent, though. One man's bills are another man's income. For small-time landlords, that rent is what puts the food on their table and pays for their kids' activities, etc. Unless the property is paid off, the bank is your landlord. Your actual landlord is just the middleman. As a mortgage underwriter who sees a whole lot of rental income on applications, I agree with this. On a lot of loans I've seen, the rent simply covers the cost of the PITI and the landlord doesn't make any profit on their rental properties. It's in these tough situations that a landlord has to choose between charging you rent or getting behind on their own mortgage, and damn does it suck having a late payment for a mortgage on your credit. It's the mortgage companies that need to be held liable for this stuff. It's really out of the landlord's hands in a lot of scenarios. Not that I want to question the superior business savvy of Redditors, but you guys realize that in most states it's a fairly simple thing for tenants to delay an eviction 60 to 90 days even when there isn't a pandemic going on, right? 2 to 3 months where you aren't getting paid anyway and the clock doesn't start until you serve the eviction notice. If business is shut down, that should include mortgage and rent income. It'll get us back up and running quicker. Unpopular facts. Unpopular opinion: if you can't afford to live without rent income for the time it takes to do a full eviction, and long-term emergencies such as this, on top of always keeping a large fund for full property repairs, then you have no right being a landlord. I think sharing the burden is appropriate. People expecting to get free rent for 3 months is dumb, but if landlords are expecting full payment, they're gonna be disappointed and it might make life harder for them for a while. This makes sense. I don't know, I was a landlord for many years. The LL should work with the TT in times like this. Maybe give 1 month free rent, or 1/2 off or something. I think not being flexible is quite dickish. The banks should also be flexible. The posts I've seen have been property management companies being shit on for saying rent was still due. The 2 I saw today were both houses being rented that the property manager didn't own, he was just managing for a client. Those clients still have mortgages to pay. Another thing to remember too is the amount of people trying to use this as an excuse to not pay rent. People will take advantage of any situation because people suck. If I had a renter that had a history of not paying and always having excuses, I would probably be pretty dickish to them in this situation as well. We don't know the history of these people. Automatically assuming the person demanding they not have to pay their rent is the good guy is just stupid. It's a shit mentality anyway. For me is, YTF would anyone ever give me free shit? And just because someone somewhere might do it, does not mean I have to do that too. Why? Also, it shows the weird understanding some people of today have. We live pretty much in the best time, besides Corona. However, it's not like we have free stuff and money everywhere in spare. Not at all, yet people think that. And now they expect it? And no, they don't get it? Yes. This. If people don't pay their rent, we can't pay the mortgage. All of our life savings will go down the drain if we lose our properties. This is devastating to us. Real unpopular opinion, you shouldn't be allowed to make a rental unit out of property you don't own. Growing up, that was the weirdest bit to learn about. The house of cards system where everyone is in partial ownership of something makes no sense to me. There's a lot of ways you can be a landlord, and quite frankly it's irresponsible and wrong to be offering housing security to people when you yourself cannot guarantee that security. +1 cause unpopular opinion. They may not be morally bad, but they certainly are in the wrong for their ridiculous demands. You wanna play with people's lives like that, then big bank takes little bank. Middle management can get the cut as far as I'm concerned, and that's all an underwater landlord is. They are a bad guy if they are kicking people out of their homes, who have paid rent on point for years but have come on hard times if they can't work because of a shutdown. Thank you. I shared a post on choosing beggars about people bashing landlords left and right. No one is forcing you to rent. You signed a contract. Landlord here, and I totally agree. People are so stupid and are always looking for handouts at others' expense. Did you see where New York was in the news as they were trying to pass a law that landlords couldn't evict in the winter because most evictions were African Americans, so it was racist? First off, if the landlord was racist, they wouldn't have rented to them in the first place. Second, they have a mortgage and don't want to deal with an eviction in the first place. Third, pay your damn bills and stop looking for excuses. Your landlord is not Scrooge McDuck swimming in money. He/she has bills and a mortgage of their own.